Welcome to the video, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in this special edition video where I'm going to be interviewing one of my students who is in the 10K Elites Club. He's generating over £14,000 per month from a single product, and I want to find out how he's done it. So I managed to twist his arm and get him to come onto the channel, so I'm going to be interviewing him for you in this video, providing you guys with heaps of value and getting some inside hacks as to how he was able to do that with a single product. So it's an awesome interview. If I missed anything, comment below. Afsar said he'd be happy to get back to you guys and answer any questions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you have your post notifications turned on. Enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Right guys, welcome to the video. So we have a guest today. We have Afsar, who's been kind enough to come onto the channel and talk to us a little bit about Amazon FBA and his experience. Right, he's a member of the Elite Academy. He's a 10K Elite member as well, and we're going to get a little flash, I think, of his award that he keeps on his desk, keep him motivated. But guys, you know, I've been working closely with Afsar for the last 12 months, and it's great to have him on the channel. It's great to see your face, firstly, right? Because, you know, when you're talking to people via email, it's very different to actually, you know, speaking now as we are, seeing you as a, you know, a real person with real results rather than just, you know, writing on screen. So it's awesome to touch base with you. Thanks for coming on the channel.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. And yeah, guys, we're going to be breaking down for you today basically how Afsar has taken a product to the level that he's at. I'm not going to reveal too much yet before we get stuck in.
Yeah, well, I'm Afsar. I've just turned 23 like a few months ago. I graduated in 2018, and that's when I started my Amazon venture. And I started working full-time as a graduate research engineer in the construction sector, like in September last year. So it's been quite passive, so I don't need to work on my Amazon because I've done that before. I've put in the hard work, and now it's quite passive in that sense. But yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. If you watch football,
for any Arsenal fans up there, hit the like button. Hit the like button. You're an Arsenal fan. Briefly, I mean, if we look at the Amazon FBA business model, what does it mean, right? Are you shipping products out of your bedroom, right, and driving them down to the post office and you know, sending them, or how does that side of things work? Firstly,
no, it's nothing like that. It's a very passive process where all my units, all my inventory is at the Amazon warehouse. I just basically talk to my supplier, tell her how many units I want, send her the labels, she ships it to the location of the warehouse, and then Amazon does everything. So essentially I'm just at home, I just refresh my app and see how many sales I've made. I know it sounds a bit too good to be true, but honestly it works. So
that's the process. So I mean, there's a lot of people who don't know that, you know, which is why I sound surprised when you say that, because a lot of people are going to be surprised. So there's a misconception that, you know, like, for example, with eBay, you're going to be shipping products maybe from home, and it's going to be difficult to run with a full-time job, when often in reality, you know, you've got a job. I had a job when I started. You know, most people do. You know, the reason why, one of the main reasons why this business model is so attractive is that obviously it requires front-end work, and we'll talk about that. There is front-end work. It's not just a click your fingers kind of thing. But, you know, Afsar now is enjoying the passivity of it because he's able to store the products in FBA. They are, you know, shipped, picked, packed, and delivered to customers by them, not you. You're just basically the man behind the scene, the magic man behind the scenes who keeps on top of everything and makes sure everything's in check. Okay, so that's FBA. So private label, just, you know, in a sentence.
So essentially what you're doing is you're using the marketplace, finding products which are doing well.
Yeah.
If there's a gap in the market, you go on Alibaba, basically produce it in mass, stick on a label, which is your brand. And then, for example, like this water bottle, for example, you can get this for 50 cents. And then you stick on your brand, My Protein. I'm not sponsored, but
that's a shameless plug there.
That becomes like 8 to 10 times more value.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that again, I was unaware of this, and I think, when we spoke, right, I remember that phone call, same, it was when I bought my house, we were just chatting before the call, me and Afsar, and, a lot of people are under the illusion, or that they believe that only big brands sell on Amazon, right? You have that eureka moment where you're like, okay, this is possible. It's not just huge brands that can do it, and you are a prime example of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, just touching on what you said, about 70%, I've read this, like about 70% of sellers on the marketplace are third-party sellers.
So and it's growing. So
exactly, and if people don't believe it, you can literally just go on something, click a product, and then just under the add to basket, it's got the name. So just click on their brand name, and the address is usually like a standard home address.
Are you doing this 24/7? I mean, what do you do for work now, and how does FBA fit around what you're doing now? And obviously you've got hours that you do every week and things like that.
Yeah, well, like I said, like most of the work has been done before, the front end, back end work. The product is launched, it's live, it does the work for me, and I'm working 9 to 5, so I don't have time, once I'm at work, to talk to customers or even work for reviews or edit images, talk to designers, suppliers, etc. So whenever I do have the chance, when I'm back home or in my lunch breaks, I work on it because I enjoy it. But if I want to, I don't really need to work on it. I just need to, whenever my inventory is going low, I'll just contact my supplier and say, look, I've got a month's left. Can you ship it into this warehouse, this many units? And that's it.
But you're able to allocate time after work basically to keep everything flowing at the rate that it is.
Yep, 100%. To be fair, you just need a couple hours. I choose to do more. Again, reason being is because I want to scale it and dominate the market.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the potential is there. But if you want, you can literally just launch it. And like I said, just contact your suppliers whenever you need to. You have the odd emails here and there from customers, but they're really easy. Amazon's interface makes it easy for you to, process refunds, email them back. You can store templates and just select a template for a refund template or customer service template and just send it off. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think what we were saying as well, one of the beauties of this business model, I think with anything, right? If you're looking to generate cash other than your full-time job, people look at different things, right? You can invest in property, you can invest in maybe setting up a brick and mortar actual shop in your local town if you're trying to sell products, all these different options, right? But when you look at, and one of the beauties of FBA, it's so automated. And the issue is, and you'll know this just as well as I know, is that you get the bug, right? And you won't, we're going to talk about the figures and we're going to look at his app. He's going to show us the numbers that he's doing per month, and they're pretty crazy from a single product.
100. For me, it's just my first product as well. That's the crazy part. It was my first product. I didn't have to, launch 5-6 products to understand how it works. And to be fair, that's because of the course. Dylan hasn't paid me to say this, but yeah, it's part of the course. The course is really good. But yeah, it depends on how much time and effort you put in, and that will pay dividends. I spent slightly longer than I intended to release my product, but now it's paying, it's paying dividends. Like I can see my product last long term, and I'm working to get reviews up to probably near 1,000 by the end of this year.
Afsar's got a bit of a hack with the reviews, and we're going to talk about how many reviews you say you've gained in the last month?
Yeah, so I launched on the 10th of June last year.
Yeah.
And then it took me about 6 months to even get 50 reviews. But then I hit 100 reviews, not 6 months, 3 months. My maths was wrong there. And then another 3 months, we hit 100 reviews at the end of December. So from January till now, I've gained 130 reviews in that month. That when initially it took me 6 months to gain 100. So
what's your total now then?
So I'm on 239 right now.
Okay, so you've gained 100 since December, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's literally 50 a month, right? So more than one a day, a little bit less than 2 a day. So we're going to look at how he's managed to do that, and it's a pretty clever way to do it. What stage did you spend the most time actually getting this set up and preparing everything? When was that?
Yeah, so it's always at the beginning. For me, I was told by you on the phone and also on your course that you should spend 5 weeks with product research. But for me, I I compressed that 5 weeks into a 2-week sort of crash course where I just smashed it out, literally doing 12-hour grave shifts in front of laptop.
24 hours a day, just like that on the screen.
Literally. Yeah, so for me, it took 2 weeks to find my product, but then I was questioning myself. I was saying, you know, why has it taken 2 weeks instead of 5 weeks? Have I done it right? I'm going to invest all this money. Am I making the right decision? Then I went with my gut. I done additional research for another month, and then after that, I put my head down with this product, found suppliers, contacted loads of suppliers, about 40 to 50 suppliers. From that, I narrowed it down to my top 5. I got 5 samples in. I liked the samples for a particular supplier. I went ahead with that one. And then it was just from there, it was just a lot about looking at my competitors. What are they doing? How am I going to improve on that? I always go by, as a rule of thumb, just offer 3 to 4 times more than your competitor, because you'll blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
That's what I went with. And also, I spent a lot of time designing my actual instructions card inside. I realized from other competitors, they didn't do that. Yeah, so suppliers were just sending in standard products into the warehouse, and they were getting sales. So I was thinking more on the quality aspect and thinking long term. Even offering a thank you card, make it look premium. So my packaging was really top notch. So I spent a lot of time on it. I think I spent about 2 to 3 months just getting the packaging itself, the instruction card, the thank you card, the design, etc. All of that stuff on point before I actually put it on the market. And then also within that was the images. That was a major part. I've read online, like, customers have a 2.7 second attention span. Otherwise, they'll just end up scrolling. So, and we're all visual creatures. So what we look at, we tend to click and then we buy.
Yeah, agreed.
I've got confidence in my actual listing to a point where if I can get the customer to click it, 9 out of 10 times they'll end up buying it.
That's why, I mean, your click-through rate, and what we were talking about earlier as well, guys, a click-through rate is basically the volume of customers that see your impression and click into your listing through that impression. And your click-through rate is high, which means that main image is attracting people in to look at the listing. And like you said, 9 times out of 10, you're confident that they're going to buy. Where did you get the images made then? I mean, a lot of people worry about imagery. So
that was pretty easy. Again, you state in your course. Just after one unit was manufactured, I'll just get my supplier to send it to a freelance photographer in China. You can always filter this out on Fiverr. I would never ship it over here because it costs money as well. And also it ships over really quick as well. So once it gets to the photographer in China, I'll just tell them my requirements. I'll give examples, send different pictures of my main competitors, say how I want to improve upon that, any infographic details, all of that sort of stuff is key in my document that I send to them.
Yeah, and it's key. I think when we were mentioning as well, with the packaging, the images, the value that you want to add, and you said you want to be giving triple what everyone else is offering. All of the packaging, and we speak about it quite frequently within the course. We're looking at perceived value, right? So, Afsar's product, right? The product itself could be very similar to many of his competitors, but we want the experience, the full experience that customer, actually goes through when they purchase. We want the listing to look premium. We want the images to look premium. And when they receive it, Afsar mentioned that he spent a lot of time on packaging. Right, when you get a product, it's really important, and you'll agree with me, right? Important for lots of reasons. It will help you with conversions. It will lower your return rate.
Yeah, 100%. The packaging has to be on point. Like, I've made the packaging with such intention that if the customer buys it and they open it, if they put it in the bin, they will feel guilty. Like, it's
How important are images?
I think if you're thinking of doing it cheaply, you're gonna expect cheap results. Simple as, like, as a one-off cost, you have to invest a lot of money in your imagery. So I had the option to pay 40 pounds for it, but I didn't do that. So I paid, I think, for my first 7 images around 170 pounds.
Okay, that's reasonable for 7. So that's
Reasonable.
20.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And now what I do is, if I make an iteration, if I improve the product and I need to just like add little small details, I'll just contact my freelance photographer or my designers in China, and I'll say, you know, most of the imagery is done, most of the work has been done. Can you just change this small little aspect of it? And that costs like £5-10. It's nothing.
And that's unreal. And the thing is with the images as well, that a lot of people aren't aware of, I suppose, is that, you know, that it's one of your one-off costs that you will reap the rewards for years.
Yeah, 100%. If you're going to invest like little in the beginning on imagery, you've got to think that Amazon's algorithm will also, regardless of how much you spend on PPC, if you spend £100 a day on PPC, if your image is bad, people are still not going to click on it. So that's the bottom line. And also, if you realize 6 months later that I need to improve my image, by that time your BSR has gone so far low, it's really hard to recover that position and come to the first page.
And you've been through that firsthand, right? Which we're going to talk about. With regard to the product selection phase, when you were in that process, did you sample?
Yeah, so I sampled. Like I said, I was contacted about 50 suppliers, narrowed that down to 5 to 10, and then sampled 5. Because some would just get back to you, some would, their price range was too much, so I wasn't going to waste time and also money bringing it, shipping samples over to my house. But yeah, from the 4 or 5, I realized that some of the suppliers, like one of the supplier, I don't know how she contacted me even to this day. She found my WhatsApp number and she contacted me. So it showed that like she was being proactive. Whereas the other 3, they sent 3 of their samples, and they were in poor packaging. They didn't bother with the variations.
So very, very good point what you mentioned there, right? You noticed there was quite a disparity between the quality of the products once the samples had arrived. And do you agree that in part that's a big reason why we sample, is because it isn't always clear from Alibaba that there is going to be a huge difference in quality. And if you'd have just gambled and gone with one of the bad ones and not sampled, you'd be in a bad position now, right? I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. You have to sample. You can't always just go by face value, especially on the images that are on Alibaba. Like I was checking the suppliers. I checked their history. They were getting 10 to 20 million dollars turnover, but when it came to me, the quality wasn't good. The first impression was bad, even to me, who's looking at it through a different lens. Customers would get it, and their first impressions would be rubbish as well. My supplier, she found me through WhatsApp. She took action. She found me, and then she sent me the supply for free. She sent me the sample for free. Sorry. I got the sample, and then within the sample there was various different variations. I had like 3-4 different types of my product, which I didn't even ask for. So even to this day, we've got a really good relationship. I send her gifts on Chinese New Year and the rest of it. So
she sounds keen.
Yeah. She's really good. She's really good.
No, that's good. And did you, when you were, communicating with her, do you feel, and sort of to put this across to the audience, building a rapport with the supplier, how important is it that you've got a good relationship with your supplier?
It's massive. It's one of the biggest things, because you have to think long term. It's a relationship that you're going to build over time. Sometimes I'm quite a demanding client. Sometimes my timeline are very, very, very thin. But yeah, she's managed to uphold that, and relationship is key in whatever aspect of your journey.
Okay, so what we'll mention now, and everyone's going to be dying to see this, right, is basically, so 23, got a good job at the moment, working a 9 to 5. How well are you doing on FBA at the moment? Now, before we do that, I'm just give everyone a little bit of a background, a little bit of a drum roll, I suppose, right? So a lot of people throw figures around, right? And I'm very aware that we need to focus more on profits rather than sales, right? So when we're talking with someone like Afsar, right, and he is but honestly the most meticulous and exact student with regard to his figures. He opened up his spreadsheet and he broke down for me day by day his sales, his exact profit down to the penny. So you can feel confident in what he's saying is pretty much bang on, as accurate can be. So your best month, do you want to show? It was in, when was this? No, December was it, or November? So a couple of months ago.
I'll show you the month of December, but also take into consideration that within December I was not selling anything from the 10th to the 23rd, which is arguably the busiest time.
The business pretty much is, yeah.
So yeah, it shows from the 17th of November when it started kicking off.
There we are. That worked then. There we are. Sweet. So we can see there that is from November what to December what?
So November 17th to December 16th.
And what was your total sales in that period?
It says 14.36.
14. Yeah, so £14,500. Was that, how many products was that?
Just one product, no variations, no PPC.
Mental. It literally is. And to, in a position like yourself as well, you work in a 9 to 5, you set this up off your own back, you took action, you went for it, to now be 14.5k a month is insane. And profit wise, what on that figure of 14.5k, what was your profit left over?
On that particular shipment, because the pound was quite low at that point, yeah, so my profit margin was 38.5% there.
So we're looking at about £5,500 in profit over that 30 days passively, so 5k a month. And you were working, I'm guessing you were working right the way through that period, yeah, in your normal job?
Yeah, so there wasn't much that I could, there wasn't much time that I could have invested during this period.
So looking at your product at the moment, when you launched, right, and again, this is something that we've spoke about quite in depth, you didn't use PPC, right? Do you want to explain that a little bit and how that worked? And I'll give you my opinion on that and what we think to advise everyone who's watching.
Yeah, well, when I launched, I had a few friends lined up and a family as well who were ready to buy. So I just, first couple of weeks, I was just going to test the market and see how it was going to do without PPC. I always had the intention of using PPC afterwards when I build up some sort of reviews. If I got to 20 reviews, for example, I was going to start PPC for maybe a month. But then what I saw was that in my first week, I sold 19. That's with family and friends included as well. So my goal when I started was selling 3 per day. So if I sold 21 per week, I calculated I could get around 100 per month. So I saw in my first month I got 124 sales. So we exceeded my initial expectation, and then I just carried on without PPC, and every month it grew and grew and grew.
It's not typical, right? But anyone who's in this space now will know, especially myself, having mentored hundreds and hundreds of students, is people seem to be launching without PPC more often. Now, is it common? No. Is it likely? No. I think you should prepare to use PPC in every launch, right? I think it's a useful tool, but it is happening, right? People are launching. People like Afsar launching, going to the first page in the first month. I've got a close friend whose products go straight to the first page. I've got multiple students who've done the same thing, and I myself do not know what part of their algorithm allows that to happen. It's obviously fed into by the quality of the listing and the reviews, the work you've done. If you've got a poor click-through rate and a poor conversion rate, you're never going to rank without PPC. And even if you do use it, it's probably going to, your ACOS will be through the roof. But if you've got fully optimized listing, it can happen. But what would you say, your opinion, right? I know it's for you, it's gone that way. But to other people who are launching, do you think PPC is a useful tool, and should you prepare to use it and understand it?
Yeah, 100%. I did use PPC a bit, so during the Christmas period, and I saw that my ACOS was quite low and it worked. But the reason why that was, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Your listing needs to be optimized. It needs to be good. Your images need to be good. Your title needs to have all the keywords, your back-end search terms, your bullet points needs to be on point. Without that, you can spend as much money as you want on PPC.
Agreed.
It won't work.
So at the moment, with your brand, right, what's your goal? Did you have a long-term goal at the beginning, and where are you looking to take this at the moment? I mean, you do 5k a month profit. You must be thinking, I can see your face, your smile. It's exciting thinking where you're going to take it. But what's your plan? Tell everyone what you're planning on doing with this brand.
Like I said, initially my plan was to sell 3 per day. I'm selling, like, on some days 30, 40. Christmas it was like 57, where where the whole system crashed. It got to like 11 o'clock in the night, and then my Sell Essential was saying I've got 50, so I was happy with that. I was going to go to sleep, a happy man. And then I refresh it, and then all I see is just, it's not refreshing, it's crashing on me. So I go on my computer, I check my business reports, and then I see an extra 7 has come in like every minute leading up to midnight. But yeah, there's crazy stories like that. Goal wise, it was to hit 100 reviews. I hit that at the end of last year, and then I set myself a goal to hit 300 by the end of this year. So I was thinking, okay, if I could get 100 in 6 months, I could probably, go for an extra 200 in all of 2020. But I got 239 already. I think I'm going for probably like 600-700 by the end of this year. 700, I'd say, yeah. 700 reviews, and also I'm looking to add to the product as well. So I'm working on an ebook right now. I don't have the time, so I outsource some of the work to my younger siblings, and I'll pay them. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a good learning experience for them as well, and they're doing really well. So I'm getting an ebook sorted. I'm going to add that to the product. I'm looking at launching a website as well.
Okay.
That's in the works.
And what about scaling? Are you planning on launching new products and turning that 5K profit into like 20K profit moving forward into like late 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, so Amazon wise, I'm thinking of launching another 2 products this year.
Okay.
And variation wise, because this is the only variation I've got, I'm planning on increasing the variations. I'm going to talk to my supplier and get something which is not in the market.
Where can you see it being then in 12 months at the end of 2020?
I think profit wise, my profit margin has been increasing every single shipment. So I started off with 22%, and I went to 30%, then I went to 35%, now I'm on 38.5%.
Yeah.
And with this new shipment that I placed just the other day, I placed it when the pound was quite strong.
Yeah.
And also I'll give you guys a cheat code as well. There's an app called Quidco, right? So it gives you cashback. I've got no affiliation with them. If you use the app to pay for anything, you get cashback. So what I realized was they've got Alibaba on there as well. So they've got 9% cashback. So when I placed a £10,000 order the other day, I'm going to get £1,000 back. So that's going to increase my profit margin massively.
In terms of a fixed figure, end of 2020, profit per month goal that you can see realistically?
I think I don't have a goal now, because when I set one, it just breaks.
You just past it. If you had to, I'm going to squeeze one out of you. What do you think a realistic target for you November in profit? What would you say from 3 products, for example?
Okay, if we're talking 3 products, similar, probably like 30 in pure profit if it goes like
the plan.
Yeah, which there's no guarantee. But again, you've got to work hard, and I think if I do work hard, then yeah, it is possible.
Yeah, but I agree with that. Anyone who says it doesn't take any work, or it's an overnight thing, I hate using that term. I don't even like using it myself. Get rich quick scheme. We know it's BS, right? Like anything, these things like Forex, or you invest £1,000 overnight, you're a millionaire. These sort of schemes I'm not keen on. Whereas FBA, it is a proven system. Afsar is an example of it being proven. And again, these are a realistic sort of a realistic anticipation of where you will be. I agree with you. I think you could be looking at 15K, 20K per month in profit, which leads me on to the question, and something that I was actually asked this on my Instagram the other day, right? They said, is it realistic, right? This is a good question. I'd be really interested to see what your opinion on this is, right? Is it actually realistic or possible for me to, build a brand, match my income and potentially quit my job through FBA? Do you think it's realistic now, you yourself, in a year's time, if you wanted to be running a full-time FBA business with 3 or 4 products generating the figures that we were talking about?
100%. It's possible. Like, look at me. Like, I'm just a normal guy. I took a risk after leaving uni. Well, graduating. I actually graduated. I didn't leave. Yeah. During my gap year, I took this leap of faith, and then I started this business. I thought, what have I got to lose? if it works, then it will work big because I'll put in the effort. And if it doesn't work, then I learned a lot of skills. Like I've developed so much in terms of like meeting people, like my negotiating and starting a brand, opening a limited company, designing, like running a day-to-day business. It's opened my mind in a complete different horizon. But yeah, 100% it is possible.
Or not? What's your goal?
I mean, for me, the idea of working full time up until the age of 65 or 67 when you retire in the UK, that hurts me. So yeah, I'm spending my 20s trying to work hard, but also enjoying myself. And also it just gives me a buffer. Like if I do have, if my car breaks down, for example, I could look at my passive income coming in and saying, okay, that's not going to eat too much into my my salary. I've got some buffer to or even help my family out, for example. But yeah, like in the future, I can see myself maybe earning different streams of income. Point where I don't have to be tied down to just like a corporate 9 to 5 sort of life. And just enjoy myself later in life, I guess. Yeah.
And often, we were discussing, when one door opens, three others present themselves. You never know how you're going to be feeling when, in a year's time, we might be speaking and you are doing 20K in profit a month, and you'll have a different outlook. You might, you might want to just completely move away and go and run your business from your laptop. You might think, I like my 9 to 5. I'm going to keep working. Okay. I mean, to wrap it up a little bit then, right, just a final point, because there's going to be lots of people, right? First of all, thank you everyone. Anyone who's got this far, hasn't got bored of either of our voices, I hope you found it useful, right? But it's just coming from someone like Afsar now, right, who has been through this process where he stumbled across this business model and he took action, right? He found it in himself to step outside of his comfort zone, which he's doing now, admittedly, and putting himself out there. And he's done something really amazing. What would your advice be to the hundreds of people who watch this, who are sitting on that fence, like they're looking over and thinking that looks awesome, but maybe I won't be able to do it. I haven't got time. These sort of barriers to entry. What would your advice be for those people?
I think they've got to just ask themselves if they really want it. If they want it bad enough, they've got to take that action, that leap of faith, and then just ignore everything. Because anything worth attaining, you have doubters and you have even self-doubt within yourself. You just got to keep your head down, focus, and just get on with it. I'm a true believer in that. And I think that, like, what's the worst that can happen? If you didn't do it, you're just going to live with regret. And that is the biggest thing that I want to stay away from. Like, even me doing this call, for example, like I'm a chill kind of guy. I like being behind the scene, but this pushed me outside my comfort zone, and it's something that I'm pushing myself to do. And at the end of it, good things tend to arise. You have really good experiences, you learn from it. Like for me, for example, with this business model, it has never opened my mind up to different aspects of like income streams. Like I'm thinking of a website, an ebook, my social media, which I've got up and is doing well, but trying to scale that 5-6 times more. My brain is just working on a different level now, and I enjoy it. Like, it's important to have something on the side apart from your day job, I feel.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And like we say, a phrase, a term that I hear a lot, and I'm a true believer in, the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. And, looking back at your life when you're 40 or 50 and thinking, seeing people like Afsar and other successful people who've done well with something, looking back and thinking, well, I was going to do that, but I didn't. And now I'm looking back on my life and thinking, what the hell? I was young. I was passionate. Why didn't I do it? And I think exactly, you put it into, really, really good context there in terms of how you explain that. And I am on the same level as you there. I agree with you 100%. So, well, we'll end it there, because at the same, guys, we're doing this mid-storm, so we're getting blown around. I know the audio might have cut a little bit on some of this, but thanks so much for coming onto the channel, buddy. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. You've given some insane value for everyone. Guys, if there's anything you want to ask Afsar, comment it in the comment section below. I'm sure he will have a minute to spare to get back to you in the future when, you know, tomorrow, the day after, when the comment's there. I'll do my best as well. It would be awesome if we haven't covered everything, because it's Sunday, and you know we're going to be going, and we've got some stuff to do now. We probably haven't covered everything. So if there's anything you want to ask, please comment it below. And thanks again, bud. And you know, I look forward to seeing where you take this and chatting to you in another couple of months.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.